Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. It's day 2 of the FSL Thailand qualifiers for the League of Legends edition. Once again, I am Hungry Cass. Alongside me is Spoots. We were here yesterday. We brought you the matches all the way to the lower bracket round 2. Today we'll be continuing on into round 3 to see how the teams advance. And you're going to see in a couple of seconds on your screen, the bracket's going to pop up. And you can see the sort of status of things right now. We are looking at Winter versus Close Behind Esports. Close Behind Esports, the representatives of FSL Thailand Season 1, did it pretty well. They won FSL Elite. This time, dropping to lower bracket along with the other favorites, Lannisters. Really kind of upsetting yesterday to see the results like that, but it happens.
Definitely threw a bit of a spanner into the works. Interested to see who's going to be able to climb their way out of the lower bracket into the finals later on.
We were talking about how these two favorites in the tournament falling into a lower bracket, unfortunately, just does mean that one of them is going to be eliminated, and we have to see who it is. But right now, we are into Champion Select. We saw on your screen the matchup that we are going to be taking a look at. It's Winter on the blue side, and on the red side, Close Behind Esports, the champions of FSL Elite Season 1. This time, though, coming in slightly under par, or over par, rather, if you're a golf fan. So right now, we see LeBlanc, Talon, and Kled bend out on the blue side. Vladimir first pick. Meanwhile, on the red, it's going to be Aatrox, Ornn, and Rumble. So a lot of top lane focus, a lot of area control. Instant lock Irelia. Remember, Ophelio's still open? Mordekaiser's still open.
Yeah, absolutely. And the point that we ended yesterday on was that, Close Behind Esport, we expect them to come in with some degree of adaptation into today because, you don't want to just bow out this early on in the tournament if you are a favorite going in.
Yeah.
So I'm very interested to see what they're going to bring out. So far, we've seen Irelia and Olaf, two very, very strong picks. Irelia, if you're going to blind pick, it's a little risky, but,
The thing is, you can still more or less flex Irelia into mid lane. So I'm not too worried about first picking Irelia. The problem is that because you don't necessarily know what the matchup is into, in this case, Mordekaiser might be a bit tough. As we all know, in this patch 10.1, Mordekaiser is one of the more oppressive champions just by nature of the passive. 3 abilities, auto attacks in a row, you get that circle of death. Anyone inside that circle will take percentage health damage over time, which is very, very unfortunate because you can't stand there and auto attack if you're just losing 3% every second, right? So it's a tough matchup to play into. The good news is they've got the Olaf, they've got the Leona, which will stop the misfortune in her tracks when she's channeling bullet time, as well as make it very difficult for her to team fight.
Yeah, and we've seen this composition yesterday as well, the jump on your carry composition. And on the other side, we have a misfortune. So your Mordekaiser can peel for you pretty effectively, but if you're gonna get jumped on by these 3 champions, are really Olaf and Leona, there's not much he can do.
Yeah, and we saw some teams actually complementing or all in into this sort of compositions where they want to control the backline. They do stuff like Olaf, Leona, and then they pick, in this case, Aurelia, right, to complement that, the ability to dive to the backline and clean up. At least I liked seeing that the Braum and Nala's ban come up because these are the champions that can sort of counteract the Leona. However, the priority ban of Morgana is still actually left open. So if you do pick Morgana for Misfortune here in this bot lane, not only is it a very oppressive duo, it also counteracts a lot of the CC from Leona. It doesn't peel Olaf off that well, but you still have a decent laning phase against the Leona.
Yeah, decent laning phase against Leona is basically what you can ask. Is basically the only thing you can ask for if you're an immobile AD carry like Misfortune. Definitely don't want to give any sort of advantage over to the enemy bot lane.
Yorick here actually being locked in, and unfortunately Top 10 Dinos has announced that they won't be playing, not announced at least, but we heard through a grapevine that they won't be playing in FSL this season, so this is like a throwback to Urith. But the idea of having Aurelia and Yorick here is a lot of physical damage being focused right now. I'm a bit scared because the damage profile of this team is very geared towards AD. It'll be very simple for not only the Winter lineup to get armor, but also to sort of play along that line.
You're basically not going to have any AP coming in from the side of Close Behind, unless you pick a, AP bot laner.
Yeah, right. Which in this case, you could still do. Cassiopeia is left open, We've seen players pick up Cassiopeia a lot. We've seen Syndra as well as a style of AP bot lane. Not to mention the Heimerdinger as well. It's a favorite a couple of patches ago. So there are options. Not to say that there aren't options. You could always flex Aurelia into the bot lane still. Aurelia Leona is a heavy kill lane, right? Against Misfortune as well.
Yeah, Aurelia I think is one of the better options among the champions that you just listed to go into the bot lane of the Leona. I mean, you're not really going to want to pick a control mage with an aggressive support like that, so...
Yeah, the moment Leona goes in, you're just like, wait, hold up, wait for me, man. You have to chase, and it becomes very difficult. I like that Janna has been picked up on the Winter side because not only is she very good at sort of resetting the fights with her ultimate, the Monsoon, it also makes laning very difficult for Leona because I was talking about this in the Vietnam qualifiers. The matchup is very specific.
Yeah.
You stand behind your AD carry. The moment Leona throws Zenith Blade out, you straight away channel your Howling Gale to knock her up as she approaches, right? The moment she gets knocked up on the approach, she has no more spells to close the gap. That's when you immediately turn around, throw the shield on your AD carry, just auto her to death. She will lose that trade by nature of not being able to lock down your AD carry, and you just win the lane from there.
Alright, so if we take a look at this this bot lane matchup rather, I would say that Tristana and Leona definitely have to get a hit, you know, fairly early. In fact, the entire team coming in from close behind have to get a hit early if they want any chance of dealing damage later on.
Yeah, the problem here is, like you mentioned, the idea of getting a hit. The moment you fall behind, the opponents don't really have to worry about itemizing armor. All they have to do is just go for damage profile as well. And if you do get a hit, there is a timer. Let's not kid ourselves, right? Around the 30-minute mark when armor items are getting picked up by not only the Mordekaiser but as well as the Vladimir, that's when things get a bit dicey. I think team fighting against Vladimir Misfortune is a heavy, heavy headache.
Absolutely, especially when Misfortune in this patch definitely comes online much faster than the Tristana does. So we're looking at mid-game power spikes coming in for the side of Winter, and depending on how close behind Esports does in the early stages of the game, we might not even see them come online at all.
Yeah, this is a team that this is a composition that tells me the team is very confident about what they want to do. Execution-wise, Close Band Esports has not really missed the mark all too much. The tricky part has always been when it comes to playing for the win. I think they understand what they have to do as a composition. It's just getting to the end point is always difficult for them. That being said, when I look at this composition, it looks very classic of what we've seen in the Thai qualifiers, right? You get aggressive supports, you get Olaf in the jungle, and Olaf has been pretty high priority this particular qualifiers. I'm surprised that teams actually haven't started figuring out ways to deal with the Olaf.
Yeah, I mean, toss your mind back to yesterday, we saw the Olaf straight up just run at everybody at just, you know, I think the end of that game was 8-2 something.
Yeah, we saw like the Olaf into Nocturne, and boy, that was like tough to watch. Whew. Yeah, that was Olaf just running in with early leads, you know, building full damage, not really bothering about getting tanky. You know, some of the Olafs, they fall behind, like get redemption because they can't do anything. This was full damage Olaf just running in, right? So that's been the flavor of this qualifier, at least for Thailand so far. One thing I like watching from, or at least observing from FSL, is every region has their own unique flair. We were discussing this yesterday, the idea of Vietnam as a region when they play, they like to play scaling bot lanes. In Thailand, the bot lanes are always super aggressive. So you see things like Misfortune, you see things like Philios, you see things like Tristana, where all they want to do is just push up and get turret plates.
Yeah, definitely. You want to get priority in your lane as well so that you can go for that dragon.
Right.
And, you know, if you take a look at this right now, I think obviously the winning bot lane will get the dragon, and you do have a bit of an advantage in the form of the Olaf. I don't think Kayn is going to be able to solo the dragon, so yeah, that's, again, one of the reasons why Olaf has been so highly prioritized.
Yeah, these aggressive sort of junglers have the capacity to take early dragons. Like, you can do it at level 4 the moment you pick up your first jungle item, right? And we've seen that not only from Olaf, but Jarvan and Lee Sin as well. We haven't seen a lot of Lee Sin this tournament, but Jarvan definitely. The ability to do that, and as the meta does trend towards these aggressive junglers, let's not forget that, you know, the defensive tanky junglers still exist. We saw a game of Sejuani yesterday, but still, the overall flavor has been, you know, very in-your-face, make early play junglers like the Kayn, like the Olaf, like the Jarvan, where they want to activate something early on and to get either their bot lane or mid lane ahead. Top lane, for the most part, we've been seeing a very remote island style of play where no one really goes and, you know, compulsively ganks the top lane. It's always been, you guys are off the fence for yourselves, you guys are going to play tank versus tank, and then, you know, you make the plays with the teleport.
Yeah, topic of discussion lately has been how, I don't want to say useless, but I think that's the best word in this situation.
Low agency, maybe?
Low agency top lane has been, I mean, on the Reddit thread, Hashin Chin was like, you know,
dude, that guy's always flaming top lane. It's like, yeah, top lane is bad.
The way you win top lane is you int, and then you try to force everyone to chase you later on in team fight so the rest of your team can carry. Yeah,
maybe that's the way it's going to be, because we have Yorick, and Yorick is probably one of the more annoying top laners to deal with. Looking at this matchup, it's not something we see a lot. Mordekaiser as a power pick, sure. But Yorick, though, when we see him in the past, it's always been the ability to split push with the Maiden of the Mist to get power in the side lane, right? You always want to draw people over to you. And in a 1v1 situation with Mordekaiser, I could see how the Death Realm actually isolates Yorick from the Maiden of the Mist to make it a lot more difficult to fight.
Yeah, I think especially because Mordekaiser is a bit more of a power pick currently, and Yorick, we haven't seen much of him. We haven't seen him pop out anytime this qualifier, actually. So it's more of a comfort pick. But the thing about Yorick is if you're a good Yorick, if you're comfortable on the champion, you're just going to be absolutely devastating.
Yeah, we have to see if the Yorick player can measure up to standards. Of course, there is some unique interactions, like I mentioned earlier. Death Realm removes Yorick from the Maiden of the Mist, so it makes it a lot easier to 1v1 against the Gravekeeper. That being said, I'm curious where the junglers are going to focus their attention on, because although bot lane for this Olaf has a lot of on-demand CC, Aurelia is a laner that actually needs to get a hit to get the pressure.
Yeah.
If you've ever seen Aurelia playing from behind, it's the worst thing ever. You just have no presence on the map.
Yeah, and that's the thing. You don't want to go behind against a Vladimir, but honestly, against the pressing laning phase that Vladimir does have, especially early on,
Right.
it's kind of difficult not to, especially when you're on a melee carry like earlier.
I feel like if you're this Aurelia, you go for early Executioner's Calling just because you need to reduce the healing, not only from Vladimir, but Kayn as well, and Mordekaiser. So that's one of the higher prio item buys I think you have to focus your attention on. The thing that always tilts me is when you need Executioner Calling, but no one buys it, right, until like 30 minutes, and you're like wondering, sitting in team fights with a grey screen wondering why you lost the fight because no one has Executioner's Calling.
Yeah, well, so basically, we're going to see the junglers focus towards the bot side of the map like we've been seeing, for the past few games, because, I guess that's the priority flavor of the month.
For Kayn, it's slightly difficult because I would wager that as a jungler, or at least on Kayn, right, you do want to skirmish a lot more as opposed to making ganks happen. So you want to pick up early stacks for your transformation. And looking at this matchup, almost everyone is melee except for the Tristana. We should expect the Ras upgrade coming in.
Absolutely, but here's the thing, right? You want to skirmish on Kayn, but who are you gonna try to pick a fight with? You're not gonna be able to
don't fight the Olaf, bro.
The Olaf early on. That's a recipe for disaster.
You could fight the Yorick, walk up, throw a couple of skill shots or auto attacks his way, and hope to collect the stacks for transformation.
Sure.
Going to the mid lane is not a bad option as well. You just want to poke out Salmon Ping on the Aurelia. Don't have to full commit. Remember, Kayn is very slippery, right? But going to bot lane might be the worst choice because the moment you walk in, you're all in, like you're committing to the gank, and Leona is definitely gonna run at you as well.
Definitely fair. At the moment, we are not going to see nothing too spicy going on. Defensive spread from both teams. I don't think the current meta it doesn't really reward going for the deep invades.
Yeah,
especially early on.
I think deep invade's good. Deep invades and looking to fight is bad.
Yeah, you want to deep invade and look for wards. The vision information advantage is definitely the deal that you want to look out for.
Good ward. Very, very good ward. So over the wall from the Baron Pit, you get full vision of not only this curve here, you also see Olaf right now, right? So this is advanced information. If you are Winter, you're like, okay, Olaf is topside. Hedge your bets. It's going to be a rip buff start, and if the bot laners come to lane early, you have a full idea of where Olaf is pathing.
Absolutely. I don't think we get any return in that. I don't think Close Behind Esports put on any deep wards either, so that's going to be a significant information disadvantage, especially since the ward was actually not spotted when it was being placed.
Good news as well is that Kayn, as she recalled, did pick up the sweeper, so this is what we sort of talked about yesterday as well.
Yeah.
The idea of maximizing trinket efficiency, so when you base, after putting down a ward and you get the sweeper, it comes off cooldown very quickly. And then when you base again to pick up and swap to the warding trinket, you get 2 stacks. So you can immediately use it, no problem. For Kayn this time, Tawan is going to be moving over to the Crux and picking that up. Meanwhile, Samlet Red doing a Raptor clear after her rip buff. So judging by the pathing, it's going to be very early ganks from the Olaf onto the bot lane the moment she does her clear, whereas Kayn is going to be moving topside.
Definitely. Kayn, at this point, I honestly don't like the fact that you go for Crux directly after Red, because honestly, the tempo disadvantage you put yourself in is not exactly ideal. But, Olaf's gonna, give it right back by walking back up to Crux.
Oh, this ward is actually pretty good. It's going to see the Kayn moving over to the Raptor. So you have information right now. If you are any laner on the close behind side, you press tab, you see 8 CS. That's 2 camps. So you have an idea of Kayn and what the pathing has been. Most likely Red into Krugs into Raptor. So this gives level 3 here if you finish off the Raptors. And both junglers actually are going to get level 3 as they clear their respective quadrants of the map. Samlet Red, though, looking to make a move towards topside to probably help Comfy Roof out a little bit. Remember that she has the red buff, but the ward here is going to spot her out. And I think it's a little too late here as they come in for the gank. There is no wall available just yet for the Yorick, so this gank is going to be denied here.
Yeah, that's just quite a big tempo disadvantage rather for the Olaf. Now forced to back and reset after taking, only the top side of your camps. Meanwhile, Kayn has been, just left to free farm the entirety of his own jungle and, should be able to pick up top skull as well.
Yeah, so Tawan here with a massive advantage, like you mentioned, you know, being able to clean out majority of her jungle camps. She's on the blue now, moving over to Grom soon after, and like you said, access to top Scuttle Crab as well. Close Mind Esports have full information of this, so they've pinged out the Scuttle Crab. They say, okay, we're just gonna trade power in the different quadrants or different halves of the map. So now Samlerit's gonna be playing bot side, whereas Tawan is gonna be playing top side with the Scuttle Crab.
Yep, Samlerit definitely should be spotted out if they do go for that bot lane scuttle. That's a very good ward to pick out the enemy jungler from the Vladimir.
Level 3 on both bot laners right now, pathing towards the bot side is Samlerit, and she's gonna be able to spot out that ward there. Likewise, both Velasquez and her support will know that there's someone here as the ward is being cleared out. Meanwhile, aggression on the mid lane, Conqueror available for Salmon Ping, backing off still. Knows that Kayn is somewhere on the top half of the map, so it has to be careful, and with that ward, she will spot out where the Kayn is.
Yeah, both junglers at the moment actually just, you know, splitting the map. I think they're both playing towards the stronger sides of where their team has pressure on the map.
Yep.
Since, you know, top is pushing for Winter and bot is pushing for Close Behind Esport. I think this is, you know...
very aggressive. Ignite going down, using the pool already. Might just be in a bit of trouble here, Salmon Ping, but managing to get outside the range of the W. Very low on health is Crew here, so I thought the pool was a bit of a dangerous choice because Ignite was ticking, and when you use the pool, you drop your health by a little bit. This case completely fine, and Salmon Ping, though, looking for the stun here, will go in once more, but under turret range, diving back out once more with the Blade Surge, and actually gets a perfect recall here, so she shoves 1.5 waves in, will be able to back and come back to late in time with additional items. Right now, it could just be the Sheen being picked up, but no, it's going to be the Tiamat with a double longsword buy here.
Yeah, the Vladimir is actually the one pushing up towards Salmon Ping, but the issue with that is that the Irelia is actually the one now with the advantage. The minion CS advantage is not too big, but it's still not non-negligible.
Yeah. The interesting point here is also that power has sort of shifted between mid and jungle, so Salmon Ping has been the recipient of a lot of Samlerit's pathing power, whereas Kayn here, Tawan, has gotten a lot of the CS in the mid lane, right? So look at jungle to jungle versus mid lane to mid lane. Samlerit is actually weaker than the Kayn, whereas the Irelia is the one that's ahead of the Vladimir.
Yeah, but that's the thing. If you're the Kayn right now, you're at a significant item disadvantage. You only have your starter item as compared to, you know, tier.
Hasn't bought.
Yeah, she definitely has the back and reset, but that just... I'll hold that.
Going in for the Blade Surge once more. Actually, a lot of damage down already. Instead of going for the double longsword, we did see her opt for a recurve bow instead, so she wants the attack speed. Looks like an early Wit's End is the call of the day here.
Okay, I was wondering whether or not Olaf would actually go in for that dragon. Is he actually?
Yeah, I think Olaf is actually looking to solo dragon. Like we said, you know, you pick up your item upgrade in the jungle. Straight away, you can go for the solo. As Olaf, as Lee Sin, as Jarvan, you can pick up no problem. And it's even a very nice, tasty honey fruit on the back of the river for Samlerit to heal up after she does this dragon.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Even though Olaf lost the tempo advantage before, the fact that Kayn did not back to reset and pick up items before taking down the bottom side of her jungle just forced her to go towards top while Olaf was able to solo the dragon, especially with the help from the priority coming in from mid and bot.
This is the problem in 10.1 as a jungler. If you're not comfortable with the timings of when you should base and when you should gank, you will actually lose tempo just by nature of clearing jungle camps unnecessarily, right? And that was what happened with Tawan. She was a hit in mid after getting the CS, going to the bot side to clear. She based a bit too late and gave the tempo over to Olaf, who was like, okay, sure, I'm going to click Dragon now and take it for free.
Yeah, I mean, you just have to, you know, get a few more games in and try to understand when you have to be where on the map.
Now, tempo belonging to Olaf after the dragon, but level 6 has been picked up by Tawan, and she's going in for this play here. She will be able to steal away the red buff with the W, and it's a cheeky little play coming in. 2-level difference is up for Tawan right now because she has taken the mid CS earlier, and she did clear a lot of camps.
Yeah, this is the point if you're on the Kayn, you are happy taking trades with the Olaf. I mean, 2-level advantage this early on in the game. That's definitely quite huge, and if you can, I think you take that trade.
But like we said, because of picking up the mid CS, the power actually is swapped. Yeah. Level 6 on the Vladimir versus level 7 on the Irelia. They've kind of balanced it out in terms of who got what, and now it's very difficult for the mid lane Vladimir to play aggressively. Just as I say that, the Hemoplague will come down, flash out from Salmon Ping. Here comes the roam in from Irelia as well. Not enough damage to pick up the kill though, but the flash was expended by Salmon Ping to get out. She's looking like she wants to go in once more. Vanguard's Edge is available and so is the Ignite, but both the jungler and the mid support is here to provide some assistance if Sam and Ping gets a bit too over-aggressive.
Actually, setting up for a bit of a dive here. I'm not sure if this is the best idea with ultimate up on the area.
Oh, stun not hitting though. Vanguard's edge is available, but she will not get there in time. The Umbo Trespass actually keeps her alive, and they will back out. The Ignite down onto the Kayn though will not kill her either. Samuel Rid having to flash out from the Howling Gale.
Yeah, Samuel Rid just coming in a little too late and having been forced to flash because of, a bit of unfortunate pathing to try to help the mid laner.
Yeah, good news though is that the kill credit did go the way of the Vladimir, so even though the play was made, the goal reinforced the Vladimir, so that power discrepancy between Aurelia and Vladimir has been neutralized a little bit more. All in all, mid-jungle advantage going the way of Winter.
Meanwhile, the advantage in the mid lane has actually been equalized, like you said, but the advantage that Kayn has in the jungle has actually just increased quite a bit. As a decent chunk more gold over the Olaf right now, and he has no I don't think he has vision over the blue buff, so no contest going on here.
They will ping it down. They will know that Olaf is on this buff, but like you said, no contest available. Smite is up for Samlet Rid, so she should be able to secure this without any issues. Olaf is one of those mid laners that really does, junglers rather, that really does need the blue buff because your axes burn mana so quickly.
We actually do see a bit of a lane swap coming in, though. I think Close Behind was the one who initiated it, but Winter does, come in for the reply quite quickly and quite effectively. I think both bot lanes now positioning to try to get some vision and contest over the Rift Herald. Yeah,
to explain why they chose this lane swap and give some reason behind it is because the bot lane dragon was taken, right?
Yeah.
So there's at least another 3.5 minutes to 4 minutes before it respawns. The next objective then to be contested is the Rift Herald that you can see on your screen right now. So both teams shifting their power to the top side to contest it just in case anyone gets a little overeager. And speaking of overeager, the Leona here is going to use the Solar Flare, but the bullet time is going to cut them down where they stand, having to use the heal though to get out of that fight. They trade an ultimate for a Summoner spell, and that is a worthwhile one if you have Velasquez. Popping a lot of health on the Tristana as well gives them priority in the top side.
Yeah, trying to take that risk couple when the entire river has been lit up basically by Winter and you have no vision there is just, inviting that sort of collapse coming in from the mid lane.
Having to recall now, Lezen not wanting to stick around. Moving towards the Stormrazor is her build path, and wow, you can see the poke just coming through from the Misfortune. Sure, she's burnt a lot of mana, but they've dropped Leona very low right now. She's already popped the W. The Eclipse, though, is going to give her a bit of resistance as the Aftershock comes through. The kill, though, not really following through as the Axe sticks it in the back of the Janna, and now they're chasing in for the kill. Here comes Comfy Roof with the teleport as well. Maybe not necessary, though, as they find a double, possibly a triple here as they're chasing down Comfy Roof with the flash, though. Will not opt to move into range. The wall gracefully dodged away from by the Kayn. And that is 2 kills picked up by Samlet Rid. Over-aggressive in the top side here for Winter.
That was way too lucky for Close Behind Esports. I mean, your Olaf was the one with the rotation disadvantage, was coming in late to the gank. But, the fact that Leona was able to survive so long and take up so much of the time of Misfortune, Janna, and the Kayn just allowed them to come in for the counter gank and get 2 kills.
Play coming in, but the teleport was cancelled though. This is a bit of a sticky situation. Samlet Rid falling very low now as all the attention is focused on top of the Olaf, who will die instantly. Now, meanwhile, Snell will have to pop the Blast Cone, but in a bit of a weird position. They didn't see her go past, but Snell now having to run towards the enemy's base. Leona coming in with the Zenith Blade. The shield is up though. Solar Flare as well. One more auto attack should do it. And she will get the kill credit. Meanwhile, the Rift Herald has been continued here by the side of Winter. Tawan is tanking it up. They found a kill on Samlet Rid, who has respawned, but this Rift Herald is going down very slowly.
Yeah, that was a very good re-engage onto the Olaf as he was trying to take the Rift Herald. Shouldn't see too much. Okay, we're going in.
Going in once more. Monsoon being used to equalize the aggression coming through. So the aggression on the Rift Herald, though, is down to very low. You can see how much health there is on this objective. It's going to reset here. Meanwhile, bullet time coming through, channeling on top of Eliza, using the Buster Shot to deny the channel on that bullet time instead.
Good disengages all around, but keep in mind, Olaf has respawned and he's soloing down the next dragon while the fight goes on in the top side of the jungle. So this is definitely advantage to Close Behind Esports as they do not lose a single kill in the trade.
We were talking about this during the 3-minute delay about how Close Behind Esports understands macro priority. They're saying, well, if you guys are just going to consistently fight back and forth over the Rift Herald, it's fine. We'll disengage, we'll buy space, and then Olaf will just walk to the bot side, take up the free objective, and now move to third Drake, which will be Ocean.
Yeah, even then, you take a look at the top side of the jungle. You see how many wards are there in favor of close behind esports. They have lit up this entire sector of the map. So any sort of contest coming in for Winter to attempt and take that Rift Herald is just going to be spotted out, and I would think quickly squashed by close behind esports.
On a macro sense, the gold now belonging in favor of close behind esports, largely from the CS discrepancy on the AD carries as well as the turret plates being taken down. You can see 13.5 minutes is the timer, so another 30 seconds before these objectives go down. But Lezen in a very good position actually to start her Tristana snowball, as it were. She's reaching that point where Stormrazor is going to be bought on her next back. And with that power spike, they could actually make very good use of this Tristana snowball.
Hey, you definitely have to begin utilizing that the item breakpoint, like you said. I think if you're close behind, you want to look for a fight. Unfortunately, there isn't much of a contestable neutral objective. It's past 14 minutes, so Rift Herald isn't exactly the most ideal.
Oh, missing the stun though, Salmon Pink in the river will have the help of Comfy Roof as they run across. Flash available, Vanguard's Edge available, but not really catching the Vladimir in time. If you wanted to extend the range, you could have used the Flash, but Salmon Pink just trying her luck, seeing if that stuck.
Yeah, man, that's a cooldown that she's not going to have for a little while, so we are looking at the jungler, the Olaf, pathing up towards here. Might be looking towards actually just clearing the vision. Not actually sure if they can contest the Rift Herald.
Looking at the space that they have, they just want to control the vision like you mentioned and make full use of this top quadrant. That being said, Misfortune and Janna are walking back in. Oh, hold on. Solo kill in the mid lane though. We did see Salmon Pink falling. Ignite as well as Flash was used, but she did die to the Vladimir. Meanwhile, with the man advantage here inside this top half, I don't think that close behind esports should stick around. This is very tricky. They're not very mobile at all. Here comes the Kayn. Ras is actually picked up already. And a lot of damage down to the Kayn. Immediately bursted. Here comes the bullet time, but swiftly dodged away from the rest of close behind esports. Now very low on health is the Rift Herald, down to 1,000. Can they claim this though? I think they have enough damage to pick this one up. And even though the kill on Ras did go through, they will be able to pick up this objective here. Winter finds the Rift Herald 15.5 minutes in.
Yeah, extremely lucky coming in for Winter actually picking up the Rift Herald, even though the Kayn just jumped in and basically did nothing before dying. I mean, I think that was just a little bit too overconfident, thinking Ras was tankier than he was.
Right.
And you know, it's just fortunate that Sam Rip wasn't close enough to go for the smite.
One thing also was that Salmon Pink did go down in a solo kill, so in the 4v5 situation, after you do lose the Kayn, it's still 4v4.
Yeah.
You can still take that fight. It's not a big issue, right? So that was what allowed them to pick up the Rift Herald there. Missing multiple CS here. There's a fuse bad.
Right, now the question becomes then, where is this Rift Herald gonna go? It's on the Vladimir, who you would think is gonna put it down in the mid lane, but honestly I think, yeah, that's the best choice. You want to open up the map and begin to push up your vision line, because again, the vision is heavily in favor of close behind at the moment. So taking down the mid tower with Rift Herald, definitely something you want to set up, and could definitely help you later on in the game.
Oh, getting knocked up. Olaf here, deep in the jungle, but will have the support of her bot laner, so in this case after moving to the top side, clearing the turret down. Meanwhile, Salmon Pink playing aggressively in the opponent's bottom half, has picked up the Wit's End, has picked up the Merc thread, so a lot of MR already on top of this mid laner. And like you mentioned, Rift Herald popped in the mid lane.
Yeah, and there's nobody here really to defend it. I really haven't been forced to take the long way around. Very risky pathing coming from Silent Thread actually. Could have actually been caught out as he was pathing down.
Did have the Ragnarok available, so I don't think she was too worried about the CC. The damage would have been okay, but I don't think enough to really finish her off. Here comes Irelia in the mid lane, using the Blade Surge to clean the wave out. As it stands, both top laners actually returning to the top half of the jungle.
Alright, we should see another dragon contest coming in. You know, you already see wards coming for both teams, as there is about 20 seconds left on the dragon timer. Both these teams have actually been prioritizing this objective pretty well. Definitely very commendable.
One thing we haven't talked about much during 10.1 is the idea of the Summoner's Rift changing with all these different dragons. And with Ocean Dragon, there is not only extra brushes that you can play around with, there's extra honey fruits, right? So sustained fight's actually more dangerous for the team that has access to honey fruits, because they can heal up and just go back in. So the idea of using and abusing Fog of War, abusing Brush is very much cognizant right now on Ocean Dragon Summoner's Rift.
Alright, Noodle fight towards the top lane. We haven't actually been seeing either of them do much, which I guess is the flavor of the month for the top laner, but this actually favors Mordekaiser, I think, because you're going for defensive stats. You're going to be able to peel for your carries better later on as compared to, you know, Bjork, who's going for aggressive stats.
Yeah.
Not going to be able to, you know, do too much in the form of split pushing if you don't have a significant advantage of your laner.
Still though, 20 CS up has the capacity to consistently push up in the top side. She's always past the river, which is a good sign, of course, if you want to play aggressive and buy space and pressure for your team.
Yeah, that's one thing you can actually attack if you're the king, but I'm going to hold that thought as we do see Olaf starting to start up that dragon. Yes, no? They actually spot out the ward, so Winter does have information as to what they're trying to do here.
No vision on top of the dragon just yet for either the junglers nor the bot laners of Winter, but they will walk across and put some vision down, I believe. Oh no, tell a lie. Janna has no wards whatsoever, so they're completely blind on this. They are walking in and checking with Kane's W.
Yeah, luckily the ward, the lane rather, bot lane is actually pushed up.
Howling Gale to disengage as well.
Okay.
Both teams just staring each other off, but it will be Samlet Rid that starts off this dragon. She throws the axe and pulls it out, and like our observer is kindly showing you, there's no vision until that scrying orb was thrown down inside this pit.
Okay, Kane is on the other side of the wall. Vladimir is trapping down. They have to disengage here.
Yeah, they have to disengage because there is no prio whatsoever from the Irelia, so they cannot really take this fight unless they reset here and buy some more space. It's just a push and pull along this objective, but whether they can get anything done though is the question, because Samlet Rid is actually taking a lot of unnecessary damage from this dragon.
Yeah, it's really a game of chicken, right? I mean, you're pulling up a lot of people towards this jungle objective, and it's a tug of war as to who's going to engage on it first, who's going to commit, but it looks like it's going to go the way of close behind, as Kane is nowhere near to the contest.
Pull and push goes the way of close behind Esports. They will get the third dragon from this game. The next one is going to be the Ocean Soul, and we were talking about Ocean Soul yesterday. Dealing damage heals you up, which is amazing in these sustained fights, especially if you want to dive in and out with Irelia as well as Tristana. Find a pick, heal up, move on to the next target. Might be the best way to play out these fights. Meanwhile, Confused is going to take the top Scuttle Crab.
Tristana actually went for the Storm Razor first instead of, you know, Infinity Edge, so I don't think that is that the new meta? Is that the new meta build now?
For Tristana, yeah, definitely so. You always want to go Storm Razor for the immediate power as opposed to the Infinity Edge. Another thing that I do see people do is that they get Storm Razor, Infinity Edge, but instead of completing it, the Storm Razor, they go Infinity Edge and they stack critical cloaks, right? So it's another way you can play this one out, but because they have this immediate power from the Storm Razor, it gives them a lot of pushing priority in the bot half.
Alright, I think we're going to see a bit of a lull state now coming in since, you know, the dragon is gone. I don't think either of these teams are strong enough to take Baron. The one thing I can look forward to is perhaps a mid lane siege. I mean, both of these teams, they really want to break open the mid lane. It's significantly easier for close behind now that they've taken both top and bot tier 1 towers. So I think they're going to try to concentrate their forces around that mid lane and hopefully break the map apart.
The only person that can match a mid lane siege is actually the Misfortune. So if every time a push comes in, Misfortune has to be there to clear the wave out. Because Vladimir can't really clear the wave without going into dangerous space, as I would like to call it, right? So that's the point where you can get forced upon. If you walk up too close to the wave, your opponents can actually look to push their aggression onto you, and there's very little you can do to reply apart from pulling away. So the lane assignments right now, if the push is in mid lane from close behind, Misfortune has to go to the mid lane to match it.
Yeah, if you take a look at Tristana's pathing, actually is going towards the mid lane to group up with the Leona and the Olaf. So we're going to be looking at a bit of a 1-3-1 at the moment. Irelia actually just being sent to clear out the wave at the bot side.
Has picked up the Executioner's Calling on both the mid lane as well as bot lane, so this is very good. We're talking about how this is a priority item, right? You have to pick it up before you complete your full set. Otherwise, there's very little you can do to deal with the healing from not only Vladimir but Kayn as well, because Ras does an absurd amount of healing from the Q and W.
Alright, like you were talking about, Misfortune is now on mid lane duty to match, you know, the bit of lane swap coming in, as they do try to set up a bit of a siege. It's not going to be much of a siege, but they're going to force the minions onto the tower.
Very dangerous if Misfortune is here alone. They need someone to back her up, because Olaf can actually feasibly dive mid lane as long as Leona lands the CC. So it has to be Misfortune Janna just sits here and clears the wave, because if they dive, at least you have Janna to protect your AD carry.
Yeah, Kayn right now is just trying to look for a bit more advantages across the map, but it's unfortunate because they haven't taken any towers, so
You can't dive this. You can't dive this. The stun already landing on top of Raz, the Vanguard's edge as well. They can kite this one out. Actually, a lot of damage down onto the Aurelia. My goodness, great micro on the aggression coming through. Had the Aurelia stayed under the turret, I feel like there was a better opportunity for them to make that play, but in this case, unable to do so. Meanwhile, Olaf coming into the topside Death Realm, not available. In fact, we'll just barely get away Snell with a sliver of health, and that's the Maid of the Mist being popped right now to take the top tier 1. They will trade priority as well as strength on the map right now, topside belonging to close behind and bot half, the turret being taken by Winter already.
Yeah, absolutely, and with the Baron up, this is definitely in favor of close behind. Yeah, you trade the Aurelia and the bot lane tier 1 for top lane tier 2 and almost killing the Mordekaiser. Yeah, you can now push up your wards into the enemy jungle if you're close behind, and hopefully now if Kane or anybody else tries to go in towards that top jungle, you're going to spot them out.
Meanwhile, 2-0-2 is the scoreline for the Vladimir, who has impressed me quite a bit so far with her ability to stifle the Aurelia in this matchup. We're talking about how it's generally quite a Vladimir-flavored matchup because it's so difficult for Aurelia to even do anything.
Yeah, I mean, Aurelia's being forced to build defensively, that's all it ends.
Yeah.
Feels pretty bad if you're a carry.
And like we said, Aurelia playing from behind is always one of the worst feelings because you can't really threaten the backline if you're this far behind. You can only, make use of the Vanguard's edge to play utility, and right now Salmon Pink can't even take the 1v1 because she knows that there are multiple members along this bot half.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, we've actually seen a bit of a micro misplays coming in from Salmon Pink.
Oh yeah.
Aurelia. Whiffing a few skill shots that you really shouldn't be whiffing. And,
let me share with you a hot tip. So, I actually learned this the hard way when I was playing with Jensen. He's currently the coach of Legacy, right?
Yeah.
When we dual queue and I play Aurelia, he always tells me one thing. When you throw out your E, you need to throw the further one first and then the near one. Not the near one first and the further one. Because the further you throw your E, the quicker it arms. Yeah, I'm not kidding. So when you throw your E out to land the stun, you always have to throw it further away first and then closer to you. Not close and then far. And every time you see Salmon Pink throw out her E, it's always close and then far, which is why a lot of the times she cannot land it properly.
I'm gonna take notes for my, solo queue adventures real quick, but yeah, actually did not know that. I thought it was actually the same, regardless of what you did.
So if you ask anyone that plays Aurelia at a high level, always throw the E out further away from you first, then close, then nearby to you.
Alright, now we're gonna see both teams beginning to set up around the dragon. Once again, keep in mind, if close behind takes up this dragon, they are gonna get the Ocean Soul, which is a significant advantage in any of the ensuing team fights that may occur.
Teleport up for both top laners as well. At this point, if you are Mordekaiser though, I'm not sure who you want to use the out on. You throw Tristana into the Death Realm, sure, but I don't know if you can even take that 1v1, and removing Tristana out of the fight only does so much because there is still that Olaf threat. 3-1-0. Not really Chad Olaf just yet, but able to impress upon the Misfortune some threat at least.
Yeah, we aren't actually going to see Olaf pop off this game like we did yesterday, but still, like you said, a bit of a threat if you're the Misfortune. We see another engage though.
Yep, throwing the E away from her further this time is actually going to give her the kill here. She throws out the Vanguard's edge as well. That's going to be the kill picked up, and now the teleport coming in from the Mordekaiser. A bit unnecessary, you have to think. But, not Mordekaiser, rather the Yorick. But still, they will be able to claim the Ocean Soul here after picking up not just the Kayn, but the Vladimir as well.
Yeah, that was absolutely unnecessary coming in from the Yorick. Could have actually stayed top and actually pressured that top lane inhibitor turret. But unfortunately, they are going to give away that pressure in exchange for this secure dragon.
Ocean Dragon will make it Ocean Soul here as the fourth one is picked up, and Comfy Roof now turns her attention to the bot tier 2.
Alright, we are actually seeing, the vision beginning to equalize for both these teams. Winter actually doing quite a good job in getting wards towards their top side of the jungle, so that, if close behind try to pressure around the Baron, they have at least some means of getting there without being spotted.
And still, Baron Pit is a very dangerous point to fight in if you are close behind esports, because that confined space is just perfect point for Vladimir as well as Misfortune to channel their ultimates and do damage.
Yeah, we've talked about, close behind esports' ability to, jump in on Winter, but if you're the one starting up the Baron and Kayn runs at you, Misfortune's in the backline, channeling bullet time on all 5 of your members, there's not much you can really do to mitigate that except for, setting up properly before actually executing that play.
Yeah, I think the only point you can start the Baron is to find a pick, and if you take this unfair fight, it might be a bit of an issue here. They saw Vladimir on the bot half, so this might be a signal for them to start this Baron. Best case scenario is going to be a 5. If Vladimir arrives in time, though, it might be a different situation.
Yeah, they won't take this in time, so Vladimir should be here for at least the ensuing fight.
Down to 4K
Kane's
already.
on the back.
Kane's on the back, looking for the steal. It's down to 2,000. Kane's still hovering off the back, looking to go for the steal. Will be able to get it, and now this is the fight that's breaking out. Vladimir arriving in time, and close behind Esports have to scatter like the wind. There's nothing much that they can really do as they all flash across the wall. They still managed to clean up the Janna and the Misfortune, though, but the ensuing fight, I don't know how this is going to go. Winter backing off with the Baron buff might just be the best course of action right now. A great steal coming from Tawan to keep her team still in the game.
And that was super duper messy, but in the end, Winter does manage to come out on top in that trade. Like we said, you have to set up properly if you're going to go for that Baron against this composition, and unfortunately, they did not do just that.
Just too many things to really worry about as the pool was used by Vladimir to get out. And really, watching out for the Kane, watching out for the Misfortune and the Vladimir, you just have to have a million sets of eyes to prep for that, and they did not. They didn't respect the steal coming from Kane, and now there is Baron buff on 3 members, and crucially, on the Mordekaiser and Vladimir as well.
Yeah, absolutely gonna, mitigate a bit of a threat that close behind Esports is gonna bring towards the mid lane with this siege. They're actually being forced to back away now and reset. Winter coming in with the item advantages for now.
Look at the lineup on close behind Esports. Their draft has no way of reliable, safe wave clear, right? Yeah. There is no access to that. The only way they wave clear so far has been using Tristana to auto-attack and clean the waves out. With Baron buff, it becomes that much more difficult because the minions, as we all know, with Baron buff, are very resilient. So for them to press the advantage right now, this is a pause on any sort of goal lead that they're trying to push. This 4K goal lead doesn't mean anything because they can't push for fights.
Yeah, it's just pause, right? Neither of these teams really have an advantage until the Baron expires, in which case, close behind Esports, they can continue their push. But right now, Winter, they have to look for opportunities here. They have to try to claw their way back towards equal footing once the Baron expires so that they can continue to contest this game.
They need to make a power play in every sense of the word. Otherwise, they're just going to play from a deficit still. That being said, though, we were talking about how this composition is full AD, and everyone on the Winter side has some form of armor already picked up. We see double tab eyes on the top laner and the jungler. Vladimir has already gotten the early Zhonya's Hourglass, and Misfortune, although she hasn't gotten the armor necessary, which is why she died so quickly in the first place, all she has to do is just stand there and channel bullet time for her team.
Yeah, we're looking at a little bit of, I think I want to say uncertainty coming from close behind. We're seeing them take a little bit of risky skirmishes in the enemy jungle. I don't think you really want to be looking at that. You want to step back. You want to play a bit safer until the Baron expires. Maybe you pick up Elder Dragon, in which case you force it. And I think once you get Elder Dragon, you just take the win.
Elder Dragon, like you mentioned, is going to be the next objective that spawns. If my calculations are right, there should be another less than 2 minutes, as our observer has shown us, about 1 minute and 45 seconds before it spawns. We need some big ticket items to come in for the Misfortune, and just as I say that, she picks up the Infinity Edge, which is going to be crucial for her bullet time. Remember that bullet time her ultimate rather, can crit on each wave. So that's going to be a much needed damage boost in these team fights.
Yeah, that's as big is going to get on Misfortune. Really interested to see how she's going to do in the ensuing fights because, like you said, absolutely crucial in how the rest of this game is going to play out.
Yeah, she can position well. It doesn't matter if she has no armor because all she's going to be doing is throwing out from, an unseen distance or unseen place. If she's in position to get dove by the Olaf, that's just bad positioning, man. And there's really no amount of armor in the world that's going to save you. So the key on this Misfortune is how she positions in these team fights, whereas I think for the close behind side, they're going to have to be, they're going to want to not only zero in on that Misfortune, but deny the Vladimir engage coming in. If Vladimir can get to a point, oh, hold on, Misfortune finding a kill onto Yorick in the top half. It was a combined effort there from not only Velasquez, but also from the Vladimir as well as Mordekaiser in the top half.
Yeah, that's going to alleviate pressure from the top, but that's exactly what a split pusher wants. You get the attention of 3 members at the top, the rest of your team goes down bot and takes another tower. Now, calmer hits will prevail, so I want to see close behind Esports beginning to set up the amazing vision control like they had around that dragon. They want to secure this Elder Dragon, they want to press that advantage.
Even though they are 1 man down, there is still 25 seconds on the clock before Yorick respawns. They need to put the vision down to ensure that there is some level of safety around here.
Okay, now we are going to see Winter take up a bit more of an advantageous position around the dragon, so they are going to have full vision control over the Baron pit, the Dragon Pit rather.
More importantly though, we have to see whether the members of Close Behind Esports are going to try and press upon this fight. Because Comfy Roof now has made the call. She has made the executive decision to go to the top side and push out the wave. Teleport is available though for her to come back into this fight.
Yeah, this is basically a dance, right? A game of chicken. Whoever pulls the trigger first on this dragon is definitely gonna meet some sort of resistance. The question is who's gonna come out on top, because keep in mind, I think Baron has, you know, dissipated. The advantage is gone.
Oh yeah,
so
it's actually gonna respawn in less than a minute.
absolutely. So we are actually gonna see close behind Esports just step back and concede a little bit of vision advantage here.
Looking at both these compositions, being inside the pit is actually a death sentence, because not only can Vladimir Misfortune take advantage of that confined space, so can Leona and Irelia. Because of the nature of their ultimates, it allows you to control space very well. So like you said, it's a game of pull and push, a game of chicken, but whoever commits into the pit first is going to find themselves in a world of hurt unless they can maneuver and finesse their way out. Speaking of maneuver and finesse their way out, Tristana stuck in a very bad position, actually going to get caught out by the Vladimir, forced out of the fight already, having to pop the heal as well as the flash. So this is a fight that she cannot participate in. Jumping back in the Monsoon is great though, but a bit of a miscommunication coming in now. Olaf just running into the center of the fight. They've already used the bullet time, they've already used the Hemo Blink, and I think this is close behind Esports just running in and looking to take the fight. Tristana rejoining in, using the QSS to get out of the death realm, and now they've isolated the Mordekaiser. There's enough people here to run her down. Snell is in a horrible position. There's no way she's getting out of this one. They found 2 kills. They found the Kayn. They found the Mordekaiser, and they should be able to find the Elder Dragon here.
Yeah, definitely. It was very, very questionable coming in from the Tristana and Leon. Not sure what they were trying to do there without any sort of vision cover. By the end of the day, I think Olaf did a good job at distracting Misfortune for long enough for close behind Esports to come up and clean up the fight. Now they're going to take Elder Dragon, and I think the rest of the game.
Finesse was the word I would use there, because finesse is the word I would use there, is because when you saw the fight break out, right, they understood, okay, all we have to do is just dodge away from all the big ticket ultimates. The moment Monsoon and Misfortune's out was mistimed, they could just go back in and clean up the fight.
Right now, I'm actually not sure if they require Baron in order to close out the rest of this game, but I think they are gonna try to go for it. Keep in mind, you have to have proper vision control set up. Once again, this is not Dragon. It's actually easier for Winter to get into that pit. So what close behind Esports needs to do is they have to rip all of the wards out that Winter have around this, but instead they're just gonna engage on the Baron.
I think there is no
Kayn
response here. Yeah, there was no response here because Kayn was on the bot half. There's really nothing they can do to steal this one away. And if you look to fight, remember, this is a team with Elder Dragon. They're doing true damage on abilities. They're doing execute percentage health damage. There is no way you stick around for this fight, because guess what? Even though your health is low enough, immediate execution comes in from the Elder Dragon. Looking to re-engage on this fight, though the bullet time is actually in a pretty good position, shredding the backline. Misfortune found the ticket there. Even though they had Elder Dragon, I'm not particularly sure why they picked that fight, and that's going to be a quadra here, I think, for the Misfortune. Walking into a funnel, just as we sing their praises. Close behind Esports, eat the bullet time and ask for seconds.
And that is absolutely devastating for close behind Esports. If you're not here, but Daryl had his hands in the air. You're so frustrated. What in the world were they trying to do? Funneling themselves again into that choke point with Misfortune straight in the backline.
If I was the coach right now, I'd be throwing my book on the table, just like, you guys got the Baron, you guys got the Elder, and you look to take the fight after that in a funnel where Misfortune has double zeal, full crit at this point, 100% crit. Her bullet time is just going to rip you apart. There's no reason for you to be fighting there, and they might just lose the game off this.
They are definitely going to lose the game off of this. They had everything going for them, but they literally just threw away every single advantage by going for that.
Flare coming in, they're trying to hold this, but there's to no avail as they lose a massive fight, and they will lose the Nexus. Close behind Esports now. They must be devastated.
Absolutely. I'm sorry, if you're not going to set up appropriately to take the worm, sure, you got the objective, but you did not see what was coming afterwards. If you're going to funnel yourself into that sort of choke point when you know there's an MF on the other side of the map, I'm sorry, you just deserve to lose that game.
I'm a little tilted, I'm not going to lie. I saw them get the Elder. Fair. I was like, okay, you guys can fight in an open space. And then to get the Baron, like, this game surely is over now.
Yeah, and the thing is that, it was actually a misplay from the Kayn, actually showing up bot side instead of contesting the Baron.
Yeah.
They allowed him to get the worm, but like there's no way to describe it. They just threw everything away in one fight.
Ladies and gentlemen, we've probably seen the greatest throw right here in FSL history. Close behind Esports. Commiserations to them, they will be dropping out of the tournament, not even going on to face their longtime rival Lannisters in the next round, which is going to be up soon. Of course, the next round will determine who makes it into the winner finals for today. Right now, we do see Winter advancing forward to play Lannisters in the next best of one. That will be coming up relatively shortly. For now, guys, we will be going for a short break. I need to take a moment to reset and untilt myself because that last fight really had my hand up in the air. I was about to slam my phone. With that, guys, we're going for a short break. We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere.